Number 10. Cesar Romero. Cesar Romero played the Joker in the 1960s Batman live-action show. While many don't think of his Joker first when it comes to what we consider to be the darkest version, he definitely couldn't be considered one of the most heroic or lightest versions either. Joker in the 60s show was known, like many of the other characters, for his campiness and additionally for his flamboyance. And yet the amount of joy causing harm to others and the glee he exhibited whilst committing crimes and straight up killing people is disturbing in and of itself, especially considering that Romero's version of the Joker seemed to be one of the most sane. So he was fairly level-headed, but just super happy to be out and committing crimes and harming people. Like some funny games level of wincing horror. Ooh. Number 9. Batman the Animated Series. This is where Mark Hamill first got his start when it came to portraying this villain. His work as Joker in Batman TAS would end up being so well received that it would lock him into voicing the character in various series, video games, and animated films for years afterward. This version of the character was a combination of the Silver and Bronze Age Joker and was known for being a somewhat two-sided combination of deadly fun and dangerously serious. He often attacked his nervous or unsuspecting victims with a catalog of prank-inspired weapons, including flowers that sprayed acid. Ouch. Number 8. Jared Leto. Jared Leto's Joker was dark in more ways than one, but one of the darkest things about his depiction of the character was Leto's method approach to getting into character, which saw him sending dead animals to other members of the cast on the set of Suicide Squad, in an attempt to tap into Joker's twisted psyche. Despite the fact that we apparently didn't see nearly as much of Jared Leto's performance as was shot, I always felt that his interpretation of the character reminded me of another, darker version of the Joker, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more right now. Number 7. Johnny Frost's Boss. Johnny Frost is the sort of narrator that we follow in the Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo graphic novel entitled Joker. The story was set outside of DC's main continuity and got a potential sequel with the miniseries Batman Damned, which is implied to be connected and potentially set in the same world and is also by Azzarello and Bermejo. In the 2008 graphic novel Joker, we follow Johnny Frost, a criminal goon who ends up becoming Joker's preferred driver. He learns through experience of just how dangerous the Joker can be, to both those who cross him and even those who Frost would have thought is Joker's allies. This is the story where Joker and Harley skin the owner of a strip club and then attempt to make him dance. The Joker himself kills multiple people throughout the story, and Frost is implied to be turned insane by the experience of simply working for the Joker, which makes sense, I think. Number 6. Gotham by Gaslight. The story of Gotham by Gaslight provides a Victorian-inspired horror version of a Batman story where it is believed that Batman is responsible for a series of crimes that we later learn were connected to London's Jack the Ripper. The Joker is the only name we are given for a criminal who was notorious for marrying wealthy elderly ladies and poisoning them in order to inherit and steal their fortunes. While the Joker didn't have a big role in the story and is really only mentioned in passing, he is a frightening character as he is likely inspired by many other cases of the time where we now know of real-life criminals who preyed on people in such a way, with some of the more well-known murderers of this kind being thought responsible for a murder count well into the double digits. It's true. It's history. Number 5. Endgame. While the Joker that reappeared in Endgame technically belongs to the main continuity and is not really an alternate, Scott Snyder's newly reintroduced Joker also allowed for the character to become somewhat reinvented. This version of the Joker was reborn without his ties to Batman, making him appear to be far more ruthless than he previously had. Joker finally returned in Endgame in 2014 after being absent for over a year, last seen falling into a pit at the end of Death of the Family in 2012. In this story, Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder instead choose to explore the idea of Joker breaking his bond with Batman, detaching from him and thereby turning extremely dangerous and reckless. This new version of the Joker was responsible for chopping off Alfred's hand, blowing up the Batcave, and for a while was believed to be an immortal being who had been around since the founding of Gotham. Number 4. Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson's version of the Joker, for some reason, gets snubbed on so many of these Joker lists that we do, but we should never forget just how dark his version of the Joker also was. He definitely had some of the campy gleefulness that we saw with Romero's Joker, but was also much more volatile. His mood could change as easily as the wind, launching him into violent tirades, and he had a creepy and unsettling air about him that made viewers of Tim Burton's Batman squirm in their seats. You never knew what Nicholson's Joker was going to do, or how he was going to react, which made him one of the most dangerous because he was just so unpredictable. Number 3. Arkham games. Joker in the Arkham games is set on bringing about the destruction of not just Batman, but all of Gotham City with it. Arkham Asylum is probably my favorite game from the series and sees Joker, voiced again by the famous Mark Hamill here, trapping Batman in Arkham Asylum with all the villains he has helped to capture. It also leads us into the plot of Arkham City, revealing that the Joker has gotten his hands on the powerful drug known as Titan and is planning to use the substance in his notorious plot. You, as Batman, are forced to fight against all of your foes while also taking on various Joker henchmen in your attempt to save the city, escape the asylum, put a stop to Joker before it's too late. Number 2. Gaslight Joker. This version of the Joker is a playable champion featured in the Infinite Crisis multiplayer online battle arena game, or MOBA for short. He comes from a Victorian-era inspired alternate universe similar to the one in which the Joker from Gotham by Gaslight originates. However, this version of the Joker is more gruesome than the other Victorian Joker we discussed earlier. He was nicknamed as the Laughing Butcher and was known as a deadly serial killer who would chop up his victims into little bits, using them as rat food for the vermin who he kept in his basement, his pets. His appearance and eccentric hairstyle give off slight Sweeney Todd vibes, which is pretty dark actually because Sweeney Todd was based off of a real story, but it was 2 men instead of a man and a lady. Anyways. Number 1. The Dark Knight Returns. One of the darkest iterations of the character comes to us from Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, which tells an alternate tale where an old Batman comes out of retirement, which also prompts Joker, who's been in Arkham Asylum in a catatonic state, to return to his old life of crime. He convinces his doctor he's been cured and breaks free while appearing on a talk show where he's meant to discuss his successful reform. Instead, he kills everyone and starts going on a murderous rampage in an attempt to draw Batman out so he can face his iconic enemy. This is also the story where Joker breaks his own neck simply to frame Batman. Joker might not have any formal superpowers, but his willpower is something else. He is an insanely determined villain. Number 10. Harley Quinn Animated Series. Sure, this version of the Joker is quite hilarious, as this is a mature comedic animated show, but that doesn't mean that he isn't dark. He is still, after all, the Joker. This version of the Joker actually succeeds in taking over Gotham City at the end of season 1, trapping the Justice League, defeating Batman, torturing Harley's crew, and defeating even the other members of the Legion of Doom. The guy even kills Scarecrow for unmasking Batman in front of him by making his head explode with acid. It's true, it happened. He is violent, successful, and still quite dark. He also makes his entrance in season 1, episode 1 by wearing the captain of a yacht's face, ripping it off like a mask to reveal his own. Ugh. Number 9. Emperor Joker. When you give Joker 99.99% of Mr. Mixie-Piz-Yiddle's reality warping powers, you can expect things to get weirdly dark. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that Emperor Joker was born in the comics and that he did all kinds of twisted, dark things. One of the worst things though for me was he set almost everyone in a horrible time loop where they were usually trapped in some way or being tortured, or being trapped and tortured. The worst of combos. Or I guess in Joker's case, the best of combos? Number 8. Joker Film. The Joker film may exist in its own bubble, but that bubble was a pretty dark and bleak one. Arthur Fleck is played by Joaquin Phoenix in the film, and the film is based off of the Killing Joke origins for the villain. The idea that one bad day is all it takes to turn someone insane or change someone's life dramatically. In the case of the 2019 Joker film, that one bad day is actually kind of more of a snowball effect. Arthur Fleck is a failed comedian who is mentally ill, and when cut off from his medication, quickly becomes overwhelmed by all the negative aspects of his life and shocking revelations. In the end, he ends up killing his favorite show host on national television, similar to a moment in the Dark Knight Returns animated story, and confirming Arthur Fleck's full transformation into the Joker, becoming a killer, a villain, and inspiring riots in Gotham. Number 7. Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger had one of the most ruled by chaos versions of the Joker. This was a grittier, darker interpretation of the character that was so powerful it actually influenced Joker's appearance and senseless love of violence in the comics, radiating outwards. Ledger and Christopher Nolan's interpretation of the character was actually a perfect marriage of the silly chaos that is the Joker, but cut with a grotesque sense of recklessness that made this interpretation so dangerous. It remains a great homage to the classic Joker while also being a deadly modern spin on the character. Number 6. Vampire Joker. The Joker of Earth 43 ends up appearing to die, and in so turns Batman evil, causing him to give into his bloodlust and cementing his transformation into a full-fledged monster and vampire. Batman himself had already been changed into a vampire when he and the Joker came to final blows. Batman though remained immune to most vampire weaknesses as he still maintained a pure heart, having never fed off of a human. Joker killing Batman's companion, Werecat Selina Kyle, however, threw Batman into a rage, causing him to give into his vampire instincts. He killed Joker and fed off of him, giving into the darkness within himself, and this meant that in death, Joker had actually won. And although Batman attempted to dispose of Joker's body in such a way that, he'd never return as a vampire, somehow Joker managed to survive and did return as a vampire himself during Convergence. Number 5. Killing Joke. This version and Joker story will always have a place in comic book history as being one of the most controversial. But besides that, it also gives us a very dark alternate version of the Joker, and a much sadder version. It paints the picture of Joker as a man who leaves his job at a chemical plant to pursue a career as a stand-up comedian. Unfortunately, no one really finds him very funny, save for his pregnant wife, who insists that he always manages to make her smile. Aww. Low on cash, he agrees to help some criminals with a robbery, guiding them through the chemical plant that he used to work for. After finding out his wife and baby, however, have perished, he is forced to go through with the plan anyway and ends up falling into a vat of chemicals. While of course not an official origin story for the Joker, it is a very dark origin that helps to explain the Joker's madness, and even somehow makes you feel sympathy for the character that in the same book paralyzes Barbara Gordon and tortures her father, Commissioner Gordon. Number 4. Injustice Joker. While Injustice Joker may not have survived very long, he was one of the most brutal and dark because, like some of Joker's other alternates, he was willing to trade his life just to see his plan come to fruition. And come to fruition, it did. Joker was successful in driving Superman to his breaking point, causing him to kill the Joker and turn into a villain himself. One of the best ways, of course, to turn Superman into a villain is to take out all of the people who keep him the most human, such as his pal Jimmy Olsen and of course Lois Lane. In doing this, although the Joker died, he won. Because of this incident and of course Metropolis being blown up, Superman feels he has no choice but to take hold of the world in order to protect Earth, along the way losing even more of his humanity and becoming himself sort of a paranoid dictator. Number 3. Martha Wayne. In Flashpoint, we get to visit an alternate timeline where Bruce was the one who died, not his parents. They are forced to live with the loss of their son, which inspired Thomas Wayne to take up the mantle as Batman, but drives his wife Martha insane. She ends up becoming the Joker after Thomas Wayne's Batman goes to take care of the criminal responsible for murdering his son. He tells Martha that he too misses Bruce, and he also misses her smile. When he returns after pummeling the criminal Joe Chill to death with his bare hands, he finds out that Martha has given herself a Glasgow smile. Yee. Number 2. The Batman Who Laughs. Batman Who Laughs is of course more considered an alternate version of Bruce Wayne than of the Joker, but in truth, he's kind of an amalgam of both. Breathing in the Joker's venom that exudes from his corpse after Batman kills him is what causes Bruce to become the Batman Who Laughs. In a sense, Joker, although dead, lives on within him, twisting his mind into something closer to the Joker's than to Bruce's. Although this character just goes to show how close these two characters really could be when it comes to their potential for evil. So wait, would that make Batman kind of an alternate version of Joker himself, and vice versa? Does that mean that Joker's an alternate version of Batman? Batman's an alternate version of Joker. Huh. Number 1. Earth -22 Joker. Why is it that all the darkest iterations of Joker have to die? Well, because, something is about to go horribly wrong when you allow the Joker to die. One of the darkest versions of the Joker to date appeared in the origin story for the Batman Who Laughs. We find out the Batman Who Laughs became who he was because of this Joker, the Joker of Earth -22. Knowing he was going to die soon, finally being poisoned to death by the toxin which had made him who he was, he planned to go out with a bang. This meant taking down all of Batman's former foes, proving that he himself was the ultimate foe, and torturing Batman by orphaning a bunch of children in front of him before exposing the kids to the Joker venom, driving them insane. In doing so, this Joker brought about the most evil creation. Batman snapped and killed the Joker, releasing the very venom that would transform him into the terrifying Batman Who Laughs. And yet Joker got the last laugh there, I think.
Number 10. Death of the Family. Written by Scott Snyder, released in 2013, we see the Joker make his return to Gotham City after having his face sliced off. Yeah, the doll maker gave him a facelift of a lifetime, literally, while he was in Arkham Asylum, but it was all part of a plan. Insert link, 25 seconds to 29, all part of the plan. So he busted out, steals his face back from the police, after of course killing several of them, threatens to murder the mayor, kills John Claridge, kidnaps Alfred, all while wearing the horrible reattached baloney Joker face, and then he ends up kidnapping all of the Bat family members. Ooh, so he makes Batman sit at this table with all of them, as it's revealed what's truly for dinner. They open it up and it's their own faces. Yeah, everybody had bags over their heads, and then underneath they were wrapped in bloody bandages, and then their faces were right there. It's a really horrible scene, but fear not, as this was only another cruel joke. Therapy not included. Wow. And before we continue on to number 9, guys, if you could go ahead and give this video a super thumbs up, that would be great, because it goes a long way for us over here. You're the best, thank you so much. If enough of you like this, they'll let me go home for the holidays. Okay, back to some Joker craziness. Number 9, Batman Endgame. Written by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo in 2014, Batman Endgame is not a time heist. No. It is a 6-issue miniseries where the Joker releases an airborne virus so that every citizen in Gotham turns into these mini Joker maniacs, running around, flipping cars, lighting shit on fire. But no tiki torches though, no tiki torches. I mean, they're not that bad, right? Yeah, you white people. Classic evil riot stuff, you know? Now that already sounds bad enough to make the list, but it gets worse. So the Joker also uses this virus to make the Justice League members try and kill Batman. Yeah, making your friends turn against you. That's the worst. So Batman had to use everything he has to fight off his powerful co-workers. And what I love about the Joker, slash what terrifies me the most about the Joker, is how he uses Batman's true identity against him. It's amazing that no matter how many times he does something like this, the stakes are always so high, and it makes you not want to stop reading. And it's resolved with both Batman and Joker having their memories wiped, but those images of Gotham citizens with those horrid smiles drawn across their face, that lives in your head rent-free. Number 8, Joker kills Randall. Okay, I gotta include this one. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix scooped an Oscar for his performance in the 2019 Joker movie, written and directed by comedic all-star Todd Phillips. So we have to talk about some of the crazy key scenes, specifically the way he kills Randall. Spoilers. So we have Arthur Fleck in his apartment. He's getting warm, he's getting his face ready before his big TV gig on the Franklin Murray Show later that night. And then he's joined by his former colleagues, Randall and Gary. So they question his face paint, obviously, by asking if he got a new job or maybe he's planning to go to the rally. And Arthur says, no, his mom died, so he's celebrating. I mean, that's one way of mourning, okay. So Randall asks a few questions about these recent crimes, so Arthur keeps the conversation going a little bit, stalling as he pulls out a knife. And then out of nowhere, he stabs and kills Randall. And the fact that Gary was there like the whole time made us believe nothing bad is gonna happen because Arthur likes Gary. Who doesn't like Gary? He's terrified of what he just saw. He asks Arthur immediately why he just did that. Do you watch the Murray Franklin Show? He responds, yeah, I'm gonna be on it tonight. This scene is just so chilling because he assures Gary so well that he can go free. He even pretends to like lunge at him as he walks by as like a joke. That's how comfortable he is around him. Dude's nuts. Number 7, torturing Tim Drake. I'll begin with how I peeled back the layers of the boy's mind. Joker says in the Batman Beyond Return of the Joker animated film created by Tim and Paul Dini. We see the Joker and Harley kidnap Robin. How did this happen? Well, Tim Drake was out one night patrolling the streets by himself, just getting it done, and then all of a sudden he has to save a lady from 2 thugs. No problem, 2 thugs? Easy. Turns out this was all a setup, classic Joker, and it worked. The Joker trapped him and took him to Arkham Asylum where he used shock therapy and serums, anything to break him down. He straight up tortured him for like weeks at a time. He was brainwashed until he eventually gave up all these secrets about Batman. And they end up turning him into a mini Joker, giving him the appropriate name of Joker Jr., little JJ. Number 6, Joker kills the audience. This moment also mirrors what happened in the finale of the Todd Phillips Joker movie, so I gotta bring it up. It's like 2 birds, 1 stone, bam bam. So in Batman The Dark Knight Returns Part 2, Joker is invited on a talk show to get some insight behind his madness, which is always a great idea. Let's bring those people around. Ellen, like, hey, check under your seats, it's a knife. No, So stupid. After being asked by the host why he kills people, Joker explains how he's going to kill everybody in the room. And cue the panic laughs. What did he say? So Joker begins to explain that he thinks he's Batman's psychotic obsession. And then after asking about the lovely mugs that guests get to drink from on the show, the Joker then breaks the mug and then stabs Dr. Bartholomew in the neck, who was aiding Joker for this interview. Yeah, not so cured after all, I guess. And then if that wasn't bad enough, he then murdered the entire audience with a poisonous gas. So similar in nature, yet I feel like this is worse. I don't know, like everyone else dying and getting poisoned, it's crazy. I also feel like Joaquin Phoenix is more awkward on a talk show than the Joker. I mean, watch any interview with him and you'll be like, no, for sure, definitely. Number 5, Emperor Joker. So this is a form of the Joker that is bigger and badder than ever. And it comes from Superman Emperor Joker back in 2000. And it was a 9-issue crossover event that shows what happens when the Joker steals the powers of Mr. Mxyzptlk, which is spelled so differently. I had to like write it in like, you know, a dictionary where it like breaks it down. Mr. Mxyzptlk. Yeah, he was supposed to get only 1% of his reality warping power, but he ended up tricking him into giving the Joker 99.9% power. Oops! So what happens when an imp from a 5th dimension accidentally makes Gotham's worst a god? Well, he eats China. That's a body count that's over 1 billion right there. I mean, the Joker transformed reality into this horrible version that better suited himself, where everybody's stuck in an awful loop. He kills Lex Luthor over and over again, and of course he makes Batman suffer death daily. Number 4, Harley Quinn. Making her first appearance in Batman Adventures issue 12, Harleen Quinzel, Adele Dazeem. Most commonly seen as the Joker's love life and twisted partner in crime, started off as an intern psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum. And then in the 1994 graphic novel, The Batman Adventures Mad Love, I don't know why I did that, Mad Love, we see Harleen's origin play out. So Dr. Harleen Frances Quinzel started to fall in love with the Madman as the days went by, because of course. It's an amazing graphic novel. It actually won the Eisner and Harvey Awards for Best Single Issue Comic of the Year. So if you haven't read it, check it out, it's great. She becomes intrigued with how the Joker's mind works, so she volunteers to help treat him. Now, after helping him escape numerous times, it's no surprise she became his sidekick, donning a jester suit of her own. And I like where they're going with Birds of Prey, giving her more of a spotlight rather than just this crazy sidekick to the Joker. And also, if I see any more of Jared Leto's Joker, I'm gonna bleach my eyes. That damaged tattoo on his forehead almost got the next spot on this list, I swear. Number 3, Barbara Gordon. This next one hurts me to talk about. Here we go. So The Killing Joke was brought to us by Alan Moore back in 1988, and since its debut, it's referred to as one of the best graphic novels ever published. Fair. So we have this background story for the Joker unfold as he torments the Gordon family, and then it comes down to a few knocks on the door that changes Barbara's life forever. So she thinks that it's Colleen arriving early, and then she goes over slowly, and then does that thing in horror movies, you know, where they open the door mid-conversation, not aware, and then they turn last second, and then bam! The animated movie didn't get the same raving reviews as the novel, and most reviewers agree that the movie built up all this backstory for Barbara just to be a plot device for Bruce's story. Yeah, she gets sacrificed in order for Batman to grow. Like, nobody was ever doubting the Joker would do something like this. I mean, guy eats China. So fans almost write the first 30 minutes off of what's otherwise a pretty solid time with the likes of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill voicing this adaptation. Number 2, Beat Jason Todd. A Death in the Family, not to be confused with A Death of the Family, is a 4-part storyline written by Jim Starlin and published in 1988. Now, this was a huge moment in the Bat story because we see the Joker beat the second coming of Robin, Jason Todd, like to death. This actually came to life thanks to the producers allowing the readers to decide what happens next to the Boy Wonder. And they chose death. He beat him with a crowbar and then a bomb ended it all. Like the Joker used Jason's mother, he blackmailed her and then used her to get to Jason and then killed her off too. So dark. What's even crazier about this whole thing is that it was up to the fans to decide his fate. There was a 36-hour period from September 16th to 17th in 1988, and there was a number you could call in and vote if you wanted the Joker to kill Robin or not. That's like the weirdest reality show ever. Like dialing one number meant death, dialing the other meant survival. And it got really close too. It was almost like 50-50. God, I wish callers had to talk to somebody instead of just calling a number. That would be amazing. Yeah, hi. You know what? Death. I think, oh wait, no, death, for sure death. Thanks, awesome, sick, cheers. So one caller actually admitted to dialing the number numerous times just to put the nail in the coffin for the Boy Wonder. Yep, it worked. Hope you're happy. Hope you're 90 years old and also happy. And finally, number 1, killed Jim Gordon's wife. Yes, this next one takes place during the holidays, so how fitting and joyous. Making her first appearance in Batman 405, the year one storyline, we find Sarah Essen, Lieutenant Gordon's partner. So after Gordon's divorce, the two of them started to date and eventually they got married. Classic detective stuff. This all sounds lovely so far, but then in Detective Comics 741, we find the Joker after he's kidnapped like dozens of babies. Like I'm talking, this guy kidnapped a bunch of babies and then decided to hide them right in the basement of the Gotham police station, which in my opinion is the worst place to hide anything ever. End of story. So Sarah hears over the radio, Joker has the babies at Central, and she's like, what the f? And then she gets out of there, and then we see him in there talking to one of these babies while he's holding it, saying sweet things, you know, like how life is the biggest joke of all. Sweet things like that. So Sarah makes a loud entrance, tells the Joker to freeze, and Joker tosses the baby at her like hot potato. He tosses an infant, and then Sarah catches the baby, thank God, but then Joker wishes her a Merry Christmas and delivers, bow, a fatal bullet. But the baby's okay, but Sarah, not okay. Number 10. Joker kills Randall. Okay, in the 2019 Joker movie, written and directed by Todd Phillips, we have Arthur Fleck in his apartment before his big TV gig on the Franklin Murray Show later that night. He's then joined by his former colleagues Randall and Gary. They came in, just to check on the guy. They used to work with him, old friends. Let's do it. They question his face paint right off the bat by asking if he got a new gig or if he was planning on going to the rally. Arthur's like, no, my mom died, so I'm just celebrating. Okay, that's one way of celebrating a death. Randall then asks a few questions pertaining recent crimes. So Arthur, getting a little bit, curious, keeps the conversation going a bit, stalling as he pulls out a knife from behind him. And then, out of nowhere, stabs and kills Randall. Also, Gary was there, so it made us believe that nothing bad was gonna happen. Because, Arthur liked Gary. Who doesn't like Gary? And also, Gary at this point is out of the loop. So his shock of what just happened with the whole situation is kind of doing the talking for us. He's terrified of what he just saw, asking Arthur, why did he just do that? And his answer was, do you watch the Franklin Murray Show? Yeah, I'm gonna be on it tonight. The scene is chilling because he assures Gary so well that he can go free. Even at one point pretending to lunge at him as he walks by, just to be funny. This scene is one of those scenes where you can't help but chuckle in fear. Like your jaws drop and you're like, huh, what is happening right now? You were the only one that was ever nice to me, Arthur says, before giving Gary a kiss on the forehead and sending him on his way. How lovely, I think. Number 9, the Lazarus Pit. So to save the world, you must save the life of your greatest enemy. Those are the words from Alfred as he and Batman prepare to toss Joker into the Lazarus Pit in Batman Legends of the Dark Knight issue 145. Using the purest water on Earth, Batman plans on tossing Joker into the Lazarus Pit to question him on the whereabouts of Talia and Ra's al Ghul. Knowing that the waters are capable for turning people sane for a brief amount of time, they plan to get Joker to spill the beans on the location in that moment. What a good plan, let's do it. So, while he's in the water, Alfred pulls out a gun to protect himself, but it's deemed unnecessary as Joker awakens. With his sanity? Yeah, it worked. And after a few confusing minutes of being awake, Joker tells the pair where they may be hiding. What do they do with the Joker? Well, they bring him along, of course. Yeah, now that song is going to be stuck in your head as well. You're welcome. This moment was shocking because we find Joker reflecting on those who he's killed in the past. The dead. Sanity, such a burden, as Joker says. You can say that again. It's quite the burden. Number 8, dinner is served. In Death of the Family, issued October 2012, we find the Joker wearing a mask of his own face? Yeah, that's right, he used his face as a mask to cover his face. So he used a face mask to cover his face, which was the mask, so, The mask wasn't even good either. It was loose and flappy, and it was made of his rotten flesh. Kind of like old bologna. That was a gross image, sorry about that, last one. So what did he even do in the first place? Well, that's the point. While Batman was restrained to a chair, Joker had threatened to ignite the place up using gasoline. What a sticky situation. Literally, because his face. Okay, that was the last one, I swear. And just then, Alfred enters. Oh, thank God, a familiar face. But he's under the control of flesh-faced Joker. Never mind. The Joker then reveals that in front of all of Batman's allies, who are also at the nightmare dinner table, is their faces. What would you do if you woke up to this? Faint? Me too. Number 7, White Knight. This is a fun one. Imagine if Joker was the good guy and Batman was the bad. Okay, well in Batman White Knight #1, released in December 2017, we get to see this. Written by Sean Murphy, this story finds Joker as the hero. And this Batman is reckless. He's destroying the city just to get close to him. Once Batman gets his hands on Joker, the Joker tricks Batman into drugging him so that he can be sane again, becoming Jack Napier. So the Joker at this point actually outsmarts Batman. Ooh! He uses legal knowledge to convince Jim Gordon to arrest him for all this crazy stuff that he's doing just to get to him. This same Joker was still after Batman, so he used the Mad Hatter's control device to do a lot of his dirty work. Nightwing and Batgirl even joined in on the cause to bring in the Caped Crusader. This is a great version of Joker to see. Reviews for the story have been mainly positive. What did you guys think? Let us know below. Number 6, Martha Wayne. Come again? Alternate universes are fun, Flashpoint specifically. So in this universe, Flash's mom is still alive, right? But other weird paths have happened in this universe to get to that point. So things are a little different in big ways. So in this universe, Bruce Wayne is the one who got shot, not his parents. Oh nice. So Thomas Wayne ends up becoming the Caped Crusader using guns and a splash of more violence, while Martha Wayne takes on the mantle of the Joker. That's right, she immediately goes nuts after the death of her son and starts slashing up her own face, taking on the look of the Joker almost immediately. She knows Thomas Wayne, now Batman, would never kill her, so she uses that against him in the storyline. We actually caught a glimpse of this in the opening credits of Batman vs Superman, released in 2016. Didn't anybody else find it odd that Lauren Cohen and Jeffrey Dean Morgan played Bruce Wayne's parents for such a small amount of screen time? They were pretty big actors and were even bigger at the time. Well, it was revealed that a Flashpoint movie has since then been in the works, so hopefully you get to see Zack Snyder's dream of casting Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Batman, and even better, hopefully we see Lauren Cohen taking on the role of Joker. She would probably get an easy Oscar nomination for it. I'll call it now. Check that date. I'm calling it. Number 5, Lois Lane Lives. Speaking of Batman vs Superman, whenever the two cross paths, it's usually a pretty epic time. So after Lois was poisoned by the Joker in Action 17, released in 1996, 2 years after I was born, so old, Superman is faced with the toughest choice. Joker had made it so in order to cure Lois from the poison, Superman must kill the clown prince of comedy himself. Batman reminds Superman of the tremendous guilt that he felt after he killed the Phantom Zone villain in the Pocket Universe. So we got ourselves a situation. So Superman makes the hard choice but to let Lois Lane die. The Joker laughing all the while. So after her supposed death, she lets out a large gasp of air. The Joker starts laughing. So Superman and Lois now both have to deal with the fact that Superman would rather let the love of his life be killed rather than kill the Joker. See, the Joker's always strapped. He's always got a plan. It's tough times, man. Sometimes you just gotta take the L. Number 4, The Killing Joke. Batman the Killing Joke, released in 2016, also made into a feature-length animated film, is one of my favorite storylines. Let me explain why. So, after the Joker had escaped Arkham Asylum, his first stop was to hit up Commissioner Gordon's house, obviously. Barbara unfortunately had to answer the door. God. So Joker fires a bullet that ended up paralyzing her below the waist. And after taking some pretty messed up photos of Barbara, Joker kidnaps Commissioner Gordon and forces him to go on a ride in this messed up amusement park that he's brought him to. And the ride isn't that much fun because as the ride goes on, Gordon is forced to see these horrible photos of his daughter taken from that night. What an absolute nightmare. I've been on roller coasters, but none have been that scary, I don't think. Number 3, Joker kills the audience. Batman The Dark Knight Returns Part 2. So this moment mirrors what happened in the finale of the Joker movie, kinda. So Joker is invited on a talk show to get some insight behind his madness. Always a great idea. Let's get more of those guests on there. After being asked by the host why he's killed people, Joker explains how he's going to kill everybody in this room. And cue the panic laughs. Joker begins to explain that he thinks he's Batman's psychotic obsession. But then after asking about the lovely mugs that guests would get on these talk shows, the Joker goes, oh nice, breaks the mug and then stabs Dr. Bartholomew in the neck, who was aiding Joker for this interview. So it turns out the Joker was not that cured at all. And if that wasn't bad enough, he then murdered the entire audience with poisonous gas. Just a nice finishing touch. A+. Number 2, killing Rachel. My favorite portrayal of the Joker is still Heath Ledger's. Now, I love the other versions, but after seeing this movie when I was younger and seeing Heath's performance for the first time, it was just surreal. One of the most shocking moments from that movie was when he made Batman choose between saving Harvey Dent or Rachel. And I, of course, had to include this in our list. This is a great moment. The build up to the scene and the character choices that Heath made to express the insanity of the Joker, so good. The scene, of course, doesn't end on a happy note. As we all remember, Rachel gets blown away to smithereens and Harvey starts to mentally decline after her loss, thus becoming the notorious Two-Face. And finally, number 1, the Joker breaks his own spine. Excuse me? Ever lean back in your chair at work and you kind of give it a bit too much? Ooh, gives you quite a oh my god feeling. It's not pleasant. Well, in the 1986 The Dark Knight Returns, we find Joker and Batman hashing it out. So while Batman is kicking his ass, he explains to him how many people he's let die simply by just not killing the Joker. "I never kept count of them," says the Joker, and Batman responds simply with, "I did." So Joker begins to stab Batman, and Batman twists Joker's neck. He's still alive enough to taunt Batman, still somehow. "Come on, finish me," he begs. Batman doesn't budge. So Joker decides, you know what, he's done enough. So the Joker decides to twist his own neck so hard, making it so that he himself has the final blow, thus now making Batman a killer. Number 10, it's raining glass. Not hallelujah. In Batman Confidential issue 11, released back in 2008, we catch up with the Joker as he's prepared a blimp to soar over Gotham City. A nice blimp, you know how we get our hands on blimps. So when the police trail the large aircraft, it begins to descend towards the city, and then it finally explodes. Now you'd think that's already bad enough, that's quite stressful, but how about shards of glass that were inside said blimp? Just started raining down, just shards of glass raining down on Gotham's finest. I mean, scientifically it would look pretty, like all the light refraction, you'd be like, oh, then it's glass, so, you know, short-lived. The glass shards were covered also in this Joker venom, so they wouldn't only cut you, they would cut you and then you would go insane. This whole charade just to get Batsy's attention, and he didn't even buy it. Why? Because Batman was too busy beside Lorna Shore in the hospital, didn't even acknowledge the whole thing. I mean, you gotta try a little harder than that, Joker, which he definitely does. There's a reason this is number 10. Oof. And before we continue on with this dark list, if you want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up, it'll be the only happy thing probably in this list. So if you want to do that, kind of balance out the scales of emotion, that would be great. No pressure, but please. Number 9, Joker snaps. In the Dark Knight Returns comic from the mind of Frank Miller, Joker has returned 10 years later after being catatonic, because Batman has also returned to Gotham. Makes sense. He successfully convinces doctors at Arkham Asylum that he's now a sane person, and Joker even makes an appearance on a late night talk show just to butter it up, make it look really good. Fearing the worst, Batman shows up and Joker was still indeed a monster inside. He then released a cloud of Joker venom into the audience and he escaped. So naturally a chase ensues through a fair, it's pretty stressful, and Batman finally catches up to Joker in the Tunnel of Love, of course, of all places. Batman literally breaks Joker's neck a bit. He breaks his neck a bit, not enough to kill him, good old Batsy following his one rule. The thing is though, Joker did want the last laugh, and if anything to make Batman look like a killer. So he called Batman a coward and then just twisted his own neck until his own spine cracked. Imagine a clown calling you a coward and then breaking his own neck. I wouldn't sleep at night. I wouldn't sleep a wink. That's so scary. Coward. No, okay. You said it, man. Number 8, Death of the Family. Not to be confused with Death in the Family, which I may or may not talk about later. Beginning with Batman 426, Death of the Family is written by Jim Starlin, where Joker kidnaps the Bat family in order to lure in Batman to his trap. This trap being a creepy dinner where the guest's face have a bag over their head and there's bloody bandaging underneath. It's really a messy scene. They're stuck in their seats as well, and they're covered in gasoline, so if Batman were to stand up or make any sudden moves, a fire would erupt. It's bad news. Now this is not an ideal dinner date, especially when the meals come into play. Once the lids to the dinner tray are lifted, the guests see their own faces down in front of them. This ended up being a sick joke and everybody got out okay, but the trauma that they have to live with, on top of being kidnapped by the Joker, that's scary enough. They thought they were eating their own faces for dinner. Yuck. Number 7, Nightwing's home. In that same storyline, Death of the Family, the Joker gets up to much worse than just a face-off prank. At the start of the comic, Nightwing initially tried to warn Bruce because their identities were on the line. Haley's Circus was also supposed to open up in Gotham around the same time, but clearly things were a little wild and dangerous, so Dick opted to relocate that circus to keep the members safe. They're his friends, practically family, and co-workers. Makes sense. Only the Joker was already more than a few steps ahead of him. The Joker took out one of Dick Grayson's ex-girlfriends and the main clown act. He hit him where it hurts. But he wasn't done yet. The Joker set up a party for Dick. He got all the other performers, who are very much not alive at this point, and used Joker venom so they would double down and attack their enemy, as well as being, corpse-like. It's a double whammy. Number 6, Full Monty. In Brian Azzarello's Joker, we see the Clown Prince go full psycho mode. The Joker returns to a lovely dancing establishment with poles and whiskey and such, and there he runs into his old pal Monty. It's been a while, so naturally drinks are an affair. Joker's out, let's party, right? Let's do it. Pop some champagne. So one of the dancers that comes to the stage is that of Harley Quinn. Joker gets a little distracted, and then he gets more and more eager to have this specific discussion with Monty. It's getting tense for the two. So the two leave for a bit, and then the next dancer to come to the stage is Monty. And, well, he's not in his birthday suit because, well, the birthday suit means skin. Monty did not come out with any skin. In fact, he didn't even dance. He just came out skinless, reached out in horror, and then fell to his death. The one guy in the back of the club puked. Yeah, only one guy threw up. Isn't that wild? Number 5, Batman Endgame. Great name, not the same at all. Written by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo in 2014, Batman Endgame is a 6-issue miniseries where the Joker releases an airborne virus so that every citizen in Gotham turns into these mini Joker maniacs, just running around, flipping cars, doing evil riot stuff. Maybe tiki torches, I don't know, probably. Sounds fitting. That sounds bad at first, but we are talking about the Joker, so that's just the beginning of this madness. The Joker also used this virus to make the Justice League members go after Batman and try and kill him, turning the team against themselves. Classic stuff right there. So Batman had to use everything he has to fight off his powerful coworkers. What a night. Number 4, torturing Tim Drake. In Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, created by Tim and Paul Dini, we see the Joker and Harley kidnap Robin. They just scoop up Tim Drake one night when he was out patrolling the city by himself. All of a sudden he has to save a lady from 2 thugs, which normally, that's a cakewalk, easy peasy, well trained for this, but it turns out this was all a setup. The Joker trapped him, took him to Arkham Asylum, and used shock therapy, serums, abuse, basically anything to break the boy Wonder for 2 weeks straight. 2 weeks! That's a long time to be tortured. Sadly, he was eventually brainwashed until he started to spill secrets of Batman. They end up turning him into a mini Joker, giving him the appropriate nickname JJ as Joker Jr. Joker Jr. or Junior Chicken, which do you like more? Number 3, Barbara Gordon. The Killing Joke was brought to us by Alan Moore back in 1988, and since its debut it's been referred to as one of the best graphic novels ever published. Not too shabby. A few knocks on the door that would soon change Barbara Gordon's life forever. It is so sudden and violent. She thinks at first that it's Colleen arriving to hang out early, but when she opens the door she realizes the pale face looking back at her is not indeed Colleen. It's the Joker in a tropical button-down shirt. He shot her and she in turn was paralyzed. Her days as Batgirl were already winding down, but this certainly was a brutal way to finalize her Caped Crusader days. Number 2, Killing Jason Todd. A Death in the Family, here we go. It is a 4-part storyline written by Jim Starlin, published in 1988, and this was a huge moment in the Bat story, perhaps one of the biggest. Well, rather a huge moment for Robin. The second Robin had just met his birth mother for the first time. She was in a rough spot in life. She was actually forced to work with the Joker, so his new plan was just to get her to safety. That was the main goal. She ends up pretty much handing Jason over to the Joker, where he then beat him with a crowbar half to death, and then he left both Jason and his mother to die in an explosion. Now, this wasn't all on the Joker, although it sounds like it when I say that out loud. Fans at the time had a say in this whole situation. There was a 36-hour period in September 1988 where you could call in and vote if the Joker should indeed kill Robin. And it was really close. It came down to like 200 votes, and then somebody apparently later on admitted to voting like a couple hundred times. So that's insane. Imagine if George R.R. Martin did that for Game of Thrones. He's like, hey guys, call in if you want me to do the Red Wedding. I don't know. Number 1, Sarah Essen. This next one takes place during the Christmas holiday season. How joyous and wonderful is that? She made her first appearance in Batman issue 405 in the Year 1 storyline, simply as Gordon's partner. We meet Sarah Essen. Now, after Gordon's divorce, the two of them started to date, and eventually, since things were going so well, they got married. Yes, true love exists. I knew it. I knew it was out there somewhere. Never give up, guys. In Detective Comics issue 741, the Joker draws Sarah to the basement of the Gotham police station where he distracts her using a baby. I'll leave it simply as that. That's all I'll say about the baby stuff. Only to shoot her on the spot, ending her life. All those babies, all that planning. What a dark, dark way to end. What a dark point to end. Hey, there's a sad way to end the video. Like, you guys asked for it. This is some dark shit. Well guys, there you have it. What a depressing video. I know the Joker has done a lot of other horrible things, so let us know down in the comments which other moments we forgot, which ones stuck with you, so we can remind you and then we can remind everybody else and bum them out.